everybody. That's one of the beautiful sounds off of Nassid's first album, A New Ambiance, which is available online. A New Ambiance is the only one that's currently available on all streaming platforms. So if you don't have it, go get it. And then also go pick up A New Radiance from our website, templeofanew.org, and A New Renaissance from our website, part one. All three, or the first three, because part two is forthcoming, A New Renaissance part two. But all the first three volumes of the Anew series, Ambiance, Radiance, and Renaissance, are available for digital download. So if you enjoyed that sound, I know you'll enjoy the rest of the music that Nassid has created, with the intention of capturing the music of the modern day culture, the modern day reconstruction of the Kemmunion tradition, and allowing the sounds and the vibrations to hit us in the heart space, so that as we flow through whatever we're doing in the day, we can continue to keep our vibes right and our energy right as we do so.
That's right.
So, little quick plug of Nassid's music, his heart passion, and thank y'all for telling me it's good to see me. It's good to be seen. I miss y'all too. But I very much appreciate the time that you all gave me to process my grief and work through some things. I do very much miss my aunt Estelle, who made her transition at the end of September. And there have been a lot of big changes in my life in the last couple of months. So I'm grateful that you all gave me space to work through some things on my personal side. And I'm still here for y'all, and still committed to the temple, still committed to doing the work. Even though sometimes our personal lives have to take precedent over everything else, that doesn't mean that we have to retreat entirely from our purpose and mission. It just means we have to live our lives in balance. And we have to find a way to prioritize what our lives need and what we need for ourselves and for our growth, while also still doing what needs to be done for our families, for our communities, and for the world around us. So I always seek to live in balance. We don't always get it right, but we always strive towards it. And I hope that me taking that time was a good example to all of you to honor what your body and heart and spirit needs, because it's only going to assist you in healing and growing stronger and being better prepared to fulfill the divine purpose that you are on the planet to do. So again, dua to all of you for allowing me that grace and that space, and for sending me your love. It meant so much to me. Dua. Before we go any further, though, we should get into our prayer for the day. Yeah? So we begin by saying, Amatu impanatir, Sawek tuament impanatir, Audu auma, Keti pa heru. The translation, give yourself to Netta daily, keep yourself for Netta daily, and do it tomorrow as you do it today. We give homage to the Creator, who is like our Father and who is like our Mother, who is everything that we can perceive and everything that we cannot perceive, who is everything and yet is no thing, who comes to us in the form of the Netaru Ra, who is the light of the heavens, the light of our inner planes, as well as the light of our lives, who shines the light for us on the path of Ma'ati, which is the path of truth, justice, righteousness, and harmonious balance, who comes to us in the form of the light of vitality, giving us the strength and the endurance to live and act upon that which we know to be true. Homage to you, the one who shines in and through us as a beacon of light for those who are blind to the facts of their place, their position, and their responsibility in the divine scheme of things. May we be Ma'akiru, true of thought, word, and deed, to our highest reality. And in the moments of crises, in the dark nights of the soul, when it appears that everyone and everything else has let us down, so it is and so shall it be. Amen Ma'at. Ma'akiru. Dua Netzer. All right, everybody, time for the roll call. Did you want to say that? I'm sorry. I keep talking about that.
Where's your manners at? Who are we speaking to and where are you from?
Yeah.
I'm calling a righteous and respectable chat.
I know you so used to doing it without me now. You're like, Okay. Yes. Roll call. Where are y'all at? We are joined in the room today with Wepet Ma'akara, who y'all will see in the chat, the righteous and respectable chat. Y'all will see her chiming in the chat, and also the Kerhev Hasedi Kepper is in the building
Jersey,
with us
East
as
Orange,
well.
Jersey. I'm Kitty from East Orange, New Jersey. Portia
Westville.
Ra from Westville.
Bexuet.
The Orange Hill.
New Haven, Connecticut. That's Marit.
What's
And
that?
La Greta from Bakersfield.
Okay. You seen that name before?
Yeah, last week.
Okay.
Charlene from Long Island. Uncle Mont. Waba Judy Rod joining us from Orange.
Orange representing.
Tyrus joining us from Reading, Pennsylvania.
Describes to Jenny from Pod Dineige.
Where that's at? What county is that?
From the Nome, Delaware Nome. Used to dialing in from where she say?
Around the corner. Yeah. Good thanks. Okay, who is he? Celeste, remembering the prayer. So Anetzer, yes.
Excellent.
James from Charlotte, North Carolina. Lynn from Hyattsville, Maryland. Dua, so good to see y'all. Azania, Tahuti from Azania.
Okay.
Give
That's
thanks.
different.
Yeah.
We got the South in the house today.
Give thanks. Dua Anetzer. Anybody else we ain't get? Check real quick. I think we got everybody. Oh, Katrina in Ellesmere, Delaware. Yes, give thanks. And Bob Mary in Long Island. And Jason Holmes is in the house, as per usual.
And then Ross Scott.
Yes. Give thanks.
You want to tell them about the feast?
Sure. We are celebrating the Feast of Sekhmet on December 31st this year. That's Keisha from Norwich, Connecticut.
Okay.
That's what's up. The Feast of Sekhmet is one of the biggest celebrations that we do every single year. We have some holidays where we just show up and show out, and the Feast of Sekhmet is one of them. We were reflecting earlier today that this is 15 years of celebrating the Feast of Sekhmet. The first time that we celebrated the feast, it started as a small dinner for initiates only at the home of two of our initiates who hosted us that year for the first time. And that was the first time that we got together to uplift Sekhmet and her sisters Bastet and Het Haru. And so this year is our 15th year of celebrating the feast and of honoring the Netzarut in that way, uplifting Sekhmet, honoring Sekhmet, invoking Sekhmet. During this winter season when that cold threatens to like deter you off your path, and then you got to get that fire of Sekhmet into your blood and into your bones to keep you motivated and to keep you moving, ready to do the things you need to do to push you and propel you forward.
That's right.
So it's an amazing celebration every year. We're so grateful to get to come together again. The pandemic put us off for a couple of years, but we're coming back stronger than ever. Keeping the tradition alive and continuing to do the work. So you all are invited. Come celebrate with us. Come celebrate the feast with us. We have an amazing catered dinner. Our caterer has been serving our meals at like all of our holidays for the last couple of years, and everyone seems to love Be Slick Comfort Kitchen so much. So we're looking forward to that. We're gonna have our drummers in the building, giving us those authentic tunes and drum rhythms. If you have any of Nissa's albums, you'll hear some of the chants that we do in the temple, but it hit different when it's with the drums, right? Like it's like, yeah, you got it real good with those beats, but then when them drums hit, it's something else. It's a whole different experience. So y'all gotta be in the building to feel that. We'll have some dancing happening, the good food happening. Our DJ, Wama Judy Ra, will be playing on the ones and twos. And you'll get to engage in ceremony with us as well for the evening. So if you're in, Keisha asking if you're performing at the feast. Hold up.
Hey.
We might have to have Nissa doing some hip hop at the feast. Hold up. Okay. If we get enough thumbs up and requests in the chat, we might be able to persuade us to get on the mic.
Judy's system got to be able to be strong enough to handle all this energy. I have to step it down for y'all sometimes. But also on a heavier note about it, or more, just to make it more serious, we implore you to be there on time. Don't make a guest appearance somewhere at the end of the night, because don't treat it like it's a regular New Year's thing. We are African-centered people, and as African-centered people, we always begin things and end things in ceremony. So it's to elevate your vibration, purify the vibration, and program the frequency for what we need it to be, and seal the frequency, so we're not just randomly coming in the new year just to say that we all did something together. Mm-hmm. And also, and if you can't make it out, I suggest, or I request, that you still make the donation to the event, to the success of the event, because as a leader in this legacy, I feel it like it's my place and it's my right to ask the community to financially support, because this legacy of ours has been very impactful and instrumental to people in our community, directly as well as indirectly. When you look around the community, you see a lot of people with tattoos, self-given names and logos. They're naming their organizations after teachings of the Kemetic legacy. So we feel like it's only right for you to support those who've been holding it down on the front line while the rest of the world was figuring out their own personal business and things like that. It's just the right thing to do. That's my in its higher sense. So if you can't afford to donate the whole thing, just donate what you can. But we have to donate. We need support on all levels, not just your energy attention. We need the financial attention also. Everyone, all initiates and all the supporters are now called to that. We're about to move forward with things. We can't stay stuck like we're on some study group level. Anyway, we're about to get into the lesson.
That's okay, but before you get into the lesson, just let everybody know that they can get their tickets for the feast on our website, templeofanew.org. You can find out more about the feast on our website. We also have an event page on Facebook where you can read more about the feast. But Judy Ross says his system won't bump, so that ain't no problem. It's going to be an amazing night. And the Sid is correct. We do want your energy in the building. We want you all in the place. And those of you who can't be there, we love knowing that y'all have our back and that you support not just us, but this legacy, and keeping this legacy alive, keeping the tradition alive, and allowing the temple to thrive so that it continue to be a beacon of light for the whole tradition, for people, for Kemetic people everywhere. By sending your donations and sending your support in that way. So now that we made the pitch, I turn it over to you.
All right, so let us begin. What, when, why, or when can only explain like the instructions to a game. That's a hip-hop quotable from my favorite MC, KRS-One, in acknowledgement and celebration of 50 years of hip-hop. Just so y'all know, like I saw a video by KRS-One last week. He has a new song called 50 Years of Hip Hop. And I don't know if you all seen it, but it was something interesting. He was in the video, he was out here in Newark, New Jersey, standing in front of the building. When he said what he said in the building, he said, the Temple of Hip Hop, Newark, New Jersey. And he was in Newark. I was like, how's KRS-One out here in our backyard and we not know? So he was standing in front of what appeared to be big as like an elementary school, or at least a community center, and it had the big bold letters. It was official letters. It says the Temple of Hip Hop. So now, Majudi, I know you're Majudi Ra, I know you're a principal in the school system out here. I want to know if it's true, and where's the location, and what is their charter, and how are they supported, or how can we support? If the Temple of Hip Hop is in my backyard, I need to have something to do with it, because y'all know I do hip hop. Hip-hop to me is just as sacred as this legacy of ours. It goes hand in hand with me. Not that stuff that y'all think hip-hop is today. That's kind of like hip-hop, and a lot of people are having mixed feelings about it. But true hip-hop is based in that has some very high standards and core values that we're about. But that's neither here nor there. So, Majudi, if you could check that out, it's much appreciated. So, to get into today's lesson will be called Reclaiming Power, reclaiming your power, reclaiming our power. And it's a continued discussion about us eviscerating disempowering narratives or narratives that no longer serve us in our community, narratives that stagnant, narratives that have true at most. So this is a culmination of many of the things of the communions going back as far as 6 communions back to, I think we named one called Resolving Split Energy. Resolving Split Energy is about resolving just about resolving distractions. So it's about if we have all these narratives going on in our community, you have to pick or you should pick the narrative that's most empowering to you. So when we say resolving split energy, so what narrative understanding that life is about making decisions, and decisions yield consequences, and consequences affect the quality of your life. So if you're going to have a narrative, it makes sense for you to pick a narrative that's going to increase the quality of your life. So when we say resolving split energy, we're talking about resolving distractions. Now, we all talk about Ankh and Ma'at. We say living in truth or to live in truth. I didn't make that up. That's actually coming from the hymns of Aten, the Nasut Bidi Akhenaten. He referred to the legacy at that time as Ankh and Ma'at, to live in truth. Now, before him, his ancestors called the legacy Waten Ankh, or Waten Ma'at, the path of truth or the path of life. So they're saying, in a sense, that the path of truth and the path of life is to seek the truth, to know the truth, and then to live the truth, to embody the truth. So what we're finding out now is that there are many truths. There's not just this one truth. There's not this objective truth. If it was, everybody would know the truth, and the world would be a lot easier. So what we have is we have some truths that are greater truths. We have certain truths that are lesser truths. And now here we are in 2023 splitting hairs over every little truth. So when we're talking about resolving split energy, we're saying 2 things could be true at the same time. I repeat, 2 things could be true at the same time. For instance, racism. They say racism negatively impacts melanated folks, black folks, indigenous folks, what other names we're using these days?
African American folks.
You can barely refer to our people without being
BIPOC.
creative. What do you say? What do you say?
BIPOC. Which means Black Indigenous People of Color. BIPOC.
Okay, that's new.
Yeah.
When did that come out?
A couple years ago. But it's fairly new. But yeah.
That's different. How do you, that's BI?
POC.
Okay.
Yeah, Black Indigenous People of Color.
Okay, so 2 things could be true at the same time. We said racism negatively impacts melanated people on the planet. It's facts. It's true. That's a narrative that goes on in our community. So many of our counterparts, or many of our counterparts or people that's been on the path with us just as long, they take that position. They say racism negatively impacts our community. But what happens with that is sometimes they fixate on it and they start projecting things onto it, making racism a superpower. You start giving the European superpowers. He's always 6 years ahead of you, got everything figured out. So people that espouse the racism narrative, they never could celebrate a win. For every time they get a victory, it's almost like that's old news, and the European is still 6 steps ahead of you, so there's no time to celebrate. So what happens is, in that narrative, you're actually signed up for a war that you don't actually believe that you could win. So remember, we said if you're going to pick a narrative that's going to empower you. Pick a narrative that's going to have consequences that are going to benefit you, consequences that are going to be healthy. That type of narrative makes you lose your health. You have people with high blood pressure stroking out because of the racism thing. Another narrative could be, well, Black people are great. Black people come from many lineages of greatness. Greatness is our birthright. Greatness is our destiny. That's the school of thought I'm from. So if you believe this, if you believe that as a fact, which it is a fact, we've been on the planet way longer than the European has had its rule, so it's a fact. So we do come from greatness. So those who have a greatness paradigm, their mental mind space is, what can I do under any and every circumstances? What can I do under any and all circumstances? What will I do under any and all circumstances? What are we doing? That type of state of mind is the cure to racism. That type of state of mind is the answer to racism, the answer to white supremacy, because you have to understand the way the brain and the neurology works. Though the brain is meant to interpret signals and figure things out. The brain is about trying to figure out what is possible and what is plausible. So if the brain accepts that something is plausible, even in the face of contradiction, the brain is going to summon all its resources from this internal world and this physical world to try to achieve what it believes is plausible. Now watch this. So now if for whatever reason, if your brain sees things as not plausible, the way could be open right in front of you and you will not move or be able to summon any resources to do that. We have to let that breathe real quick, because that right there, those two scenarios that I said, that is the great divide that's going on in our community between different tiers of this conscious community. Some people believe there is no limitation, so they act accordingly, and literally their life is magical. They have no limitation. They're able to achieve what people thought was impossible. And yet you have other people, all they see is obstacles and doors closing, and they just don't seem to be able to catch a break. That's what's going on. So let me bring your attention to the metaphor of psychoneuroimmunology. We're talking about the connection between the body, the mind, and the immune system. Now, at any given time, you can have 300 diseases out. And at any given time, 298 of them you won't be subjected to. You won't catch any of the 298 diseases. Why? You have things such as your location, where you live at, inoculations and vaccinations, former inoculations and vaccinations. You have the quality of food, sanitation, hygiene, as well as your state of mind. Like, I ain't gonna get sick, I'm cool. So here it is, you're walking around the world at any given time, it's teeming with disease, virus, and bacteria, and you're not worried about it because of your state of mind. You feel like you're covered, even though the world is rife with disease. So they say racism is a disease also, so you can apply the same type of thought to it. So like, what is your state of mind? Be like, okay, I have no limitations. What is your diet? What is your mental diet? What are you feeding yourself? Are you watching the news and it's all doom and gloom? If that's the case, all you're gonna see is blocks. What music are you listening to? Do you listen to music that supports your charge of being the best version of yourself? Or are you listening to music that distracts you from the stress that comes with being the best part of yourself? A lot of people do that. Who are you keeping company with? What is your worldview? All of these things can determine if and how or when racism affects you. So yes, racism is a disease that's in the world, but it don't have to affect you the way you think it's supposed to be. So you could be out here, like I said, 298 diseases, and something like the common cold might get to you every now and then, but if you're not careful about how you feed your mind, then you got that diabetes, you got that high blood pressure. When you start worrying and stuff like that, you start lowering your immunology and you start becoming more susceptible. And high blood pressure, diabetes, and things like that, those are usually come from man-made things. They're not real diseases in a sense. It's a body's poor reaction to poor living quality. So I know some of you be like, okay, and the sister's been on a roll with with a certain level of intensity for the past 4 communions. Where is it coming from? To have a moment of transparency, I'm actually furious. I'm enraged about something that was in my face the whole time, but I'm finally willing to deal with it straight up now. People is like, oh, I thought you said emotions are good servants for poor masters. And that's true, but we all have emotions. And the key is, how do we make the emotions serve us? So part of how we're going to make my rage or my anger serve us is we're going to have a conversation about reclaiming our power. What am I talking about? I'm talking about I'm pissed off, I'm enraged, I'm furious because I'm figuring out that we live by a certain set of rules. We know society don't live by a certain set of rules, but I'm pissed off that our community, the Kemetic community or the African-centered community, don't live by the same set of rules. It is blaringly obvious these days. We were given a charge by our elders that many of them are now ancestors now. We were given a charge of Sankofa. Sankofa is a Akan word meaning go back and fetch it. Go back and fetch it. We understand that there's only one religion and one true tradition of Africa is nature veneration, is ancestor veneration, and the connection of the individuals with the ancestors and nature. That's in North Africa, South Africa, East Africa, West Africa. It doesn't matter if they call it Ifa, Kemet, whatever. That thing is there. It's consistent from the beginning of time to the end of time, whether the people were light skin, dark skin, brown skin, or whatever. Even in the intermediate periods, they still was doing African tradition. So we were given that chart. So we hear Sankofa, go back and fetch it. So since that is the fundamental charge of Africa, go back and fetch what? So even the ancient Africans say, go back and fetch it. That wasn't just us. That's the code for every generation, one after another. You got to keep going back and fetching it because obviously something is getting lost from one generation to the next. So there's a Kemetic concept that aligns with Sankofa, and that Kemetic concept is Saruj. So Sankofa means go back and fetch it. Saruj, some people say Saruj Ma'at. Baba says Saruj Ma'at. There's Saruj Ta, there's Saruj Tawi. So not only does it mean go back and fetch it, it means go back and fetch it and restore it to make it better than what it was before. Some people are scared to try to top their ancestors. It is your duty to try to top the ancestors. It's kind of like a friendly competition. After all, aren't we our ancestors anyway? So it's really us trying to top ourselves from an earlier incarnation. So pretty much Sankofa and Saruj, go back and fetch it, go back to restore it and make it better than before. That is the essence of the rule. So we got the philosophy of Ma'at, we got the 10 virtues of Initiatory, all of that. Those are the rules that we thought we were supposed to be living by. Now we're finding out that our peers, the people that we thought was on this journey just as long as us or around about the same time, that they don't live by the code, haven't lived by the code, make no intentions on living by the code. And that's a messed up thing. It's just pissing me off. Now they've come to the conclusion that ancient Kemet wasn't African. I was listening to an interview by Damon Dash, the former CEO of Rock Nation. He said, I don't talk to people who don't have a dream. He said, you cannot get a conversation with me if you don't have a dream. If you don't have a dream is a plan. Some other individuals in our community, they're only talking and teaching just to demonstrate that they could think outside the box. Mm-hmm. And that's cool. I learned a lot from these individuals to think outside the box. They don't think they can learn anything from the spiritual community, but I've learned some things. Y'all see me pivot on some of my views because I've learned some things by them, but that's not a plan just to think outside of the box. I'm built different. The thing that separates me from some of those other individuals, that they have information, they're smart, but they're not wise. They have knowledge, they're smart, but they don't know how to use the information. I know how to use the information and put it to use and develop a community around the information that everybody's talking. They're just talking. So they've come up with this conclusion that ancient Kemet had nothing to do with Black Africans. And I'm not going to dignify that with a response. I just heard about this a couple weeks ago. I'm like, damn, that's what they're on right now? I'm like, okay. So some people be like, well, maybe you need to sit down and talk to them and have a conversation about it. And I'm saying, no more talking. No more talking. As an avatar, the sacred masculine, as a man, I demand to speak with men, not males masquerading and dishonoring the vital title of man. I'll let y'all marinate on that. I cannot deal with men that's my age or older that can't sit and have a conversation without disrespecting another brother, disrespecting someone's family, their dead relatives, and can't sit and hold their water and shut their mouth as we're supposed to have an intelligent dialogue. So don't ask me to sit with people like that. Those people are not qualified to sit at the same table as me. They're not qualified to sit at the same table as you. In fact, the work that I did with myself and my community, I deserve to sit at the table with a better quality of people, if y'all know what I'm saying. So I want to bring to your attention to the Hermetica. I know some people are like, why are you picking the Hermetica? You're supposed to be picking the pyramid text, the Book of the Dead, and I get it. The Hermetica is from a time where it said it had it was Kemetic, but it had some, what they say, Hellenistic influence. So people tend to not want to go to that. So they want to go to the pyramid text, the Reyu, Perthim, Heru, all of those things. And those things are high in metaphor and high in analogy. It's not as direct. But if we're to ignore the so-called Hermetica, that's the same as saying, don't listen to African Americans say anything about African spirituality or anything from Africa, because after all, they are descendants of slaves and they've been partly educated by Europeans. Remember, Kemet was always Kemet. It was influenced by other, civilizations every now and then. But the information is still the core information. It was just the approach on how it was taught. I just told you, like, when you look at the pyramid text, the Reyu, Perthim, Heru, it deals high in analogy and metaphor. It's never really direct. When you're reading the Hermetica, it's direct. They talk about life. They talk about death. They talk about the afterlife. They're talking about the zodiac. They're literally just talking about it right out there in your face. In traditional African societies, they talk in metaphor. They imply. They send you kind of on an internal journey for you to kind of make some connections and figure some things out. So the nature and the language of the Hermetica is kind of just straightforward. But what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to wait for the scholars to translate everything in a usable form for us, and they can't make up their mind? We've been seeing, for the past 10 years, we've been seeing people just go against everything that they actually stood on. So if that's the case, we can never have an intelligent conversation about what is our legacy and what is not, or what's usable or what's not usable, because people keep changing. So there's something called the prophecies of Hermes, and people understand Hermes to be Thoth, which comes from Tahat, which comes from Tahut, which comes from Tahuti, which comes from Jehuti. Something called the prophecies of Hermes, and it's talking about something I feel like is parallel to what it is that we see now. It said, in times to come, no one will pursue pure philosophy. Philosophy is the love of wisdom. It's a Greek word, the love of wisdom. Remember, we're speaking the Queen's English. So I'm speaking the Queen's English and then translating the thought into Meta-Netta. I say that in times to come, no one will pursue pure philosophy with single-mindedness. And like, I'm going to barely be able to go. Single-mindedness is meditation. So if you don't have a background in meditation, then you probably, it'll be difficult for you to extract the real essence of the teachings. You can play with words and definitions of words, but it takes a certain still mind and cleanliness of mind to really approach any sacred text, whether it's Kemetic, Buddhist, or whatever. No one will pursue philosophy with single-mindedness and purity of heart. Purity of heart, we could say it's wab, we could say jasir. Sacred means that which is set apart. Remember, heart is the mind, heart is the consciousness. So we're still talking about the result of your meditation is pure thought, a heart or mind that is set aside from common thinking. It's initiatory. We're talking about initiatory thought. Those with a grudging and ungenerous temperament will try and prevent men from discovering the priceless gift of immortality. Philosophy will become confused, making it harder to comprehend. It will be corrupted by spurious speculation and entangled with bewildering sciences like arithmetic, music, and geometry. That's an interesting thing to unpack. We're talking about the fractionation of just what the study of truth. And you have people like, oh, the universe is mathematical. Oh no, the universe is vibration. Then you find out that vibration is mathematical. It's the same thing, but people are trying to get you to go separate ways, and it gets weird. That's why it says bewildering sciences like arithmetic, music, and geometry. The student of pure philosophy, the student of pure the love of wisdom studies the sciences not as facts, fanciful theories, but as devotion to Atum, because they reveal a universe perfectly ordered by the power of number. So the initiates study to affirm and confirm the metaphors and the analogies that's in the text. The non-initiates study to contradict any idea of divinity, therefore agitating confusion, distraction, and agitation in the community. So how do we reclaim power? Initiates have to remember their charge, and their charge of initiate is to dare to know and remain silent. Think about that. People talk about secret societies. There could be secrets in plain sight. That's the same as saying there's levels to this. So dare to know and remain silent. Many initiates been in violation of teaching the quote-unquote craft as regular information, because we got into the whole African Center movement. We started teaching information indiscriminately. So now we have to remind ourselves as initiates that everyone wasn't meant to have exposure to the same level of information as well as experience. Everyone has to be qualified for certain levels. I'm going to continue with reading. It says, to simply love Atum, the all, in thought with singleness of heart, goes back to the meditation. So alignment with source through nature, through the veneration of ancestors, alignment with source. To simply love Atum in thought with singleness of heart, and to follow the goodness of his will in this philosophy, unsullied by intrusive cravings for pointless opinions. Isn't that what we're going through now? Intrusive cravings for pointless opinions. Like I said, we're watching people try to undermine the whole life charge of some of our elders who are now ancestors now, just to have an opinion, just to demonstrate to you that they could think outside of the box. This philosophy unsullied by intrusive cravings for pointless opinions. But I foresee that in times to come, clever intellectuals will mislead the minds of men, turning them away from pure philosophy. It will be taught that our sacred devotion was ineffectual, and the heartfelt piety and assiduous service which we Egyptians, are talking about the Kemetu, honor Atum, was a waste without reward. Isn't that what they're saying now? They're trying to make fun of us. They're trying to troll us. Oh, it's pseudo. Isn't that ironic that they was kind of prophesying that thousands of years? I think this stuff goes on every now and then, especially when foreigners and invaders come in. Those things like that tend to happen. So how do we reclaim power? Number one, to reclaim power, you got to control your own narrative. You have to decide how you want to be perceived by the community, and you decide what terms you're going to deal with the community on. So once again, one, controlling your narrative. Two, not needing validation. Once you've tapped into your truth and your truth is proven and demonstrated that it empowers and builds you up, you can kindly and maybe not so kindly ignore the opinions of others and what they think about what it is that you're doing. So understand that we never lose in our culture. We never lose in the practice of our culture. You got people trying to, for whatever reason, make us feel bad about what it is that we do, that we are doing as adults, that we feel that empowers us. Do y'all know that our detractors believe in magic more than we believe in magic? But they just have a different concept of what they think magic is. Sometimes they think magic is like David Blaine, David Copperfield, and illusionists and stuff like that. What we're seeing from them is their soul is actually crying. Their soul is like, yo, life is hard. I don't know what it's about. Can you please make your God come from the heaven, and the ancestors that y'all claim that y'all talk to you, could you please have them come forth so I can have a conversation to make sense of this, because I'm going through an existential crisis. That's what all that trolling is about. They want answers. And so what happens is they project onto us what they think we think magic is. They think we do what they think we do ritual for is a total different reason on why we do ritual for. Magic to the initiate is causing change in conformity, making change in conformity to the will. That's what we call hekau. It's rituals and ceremonies used to stimulate change to make it form into conformity with the will. Our will connected with the higher will. The Rasta say the I and I, not just our little stuff, but what is the will of the universe? You know, we do that through divination, understanding the patterns and how the universe communicates with us. So when we do things in accordance with will, that's what we call magic and causes shift, changes, and transformations. Now, in our legacy, so many of you have the opening the way ceremony. You do libations. What else? You do dua'u. You do hetepet, which is offerings. What else? We do ceremonial dance. We do hesi. What is some people do yoga, some people do qigong, meditation, or things like that, of that ilk. And we do these things for different reasons than they think we're doing for. So they're looking at us and we're doing all these motions, and it's looking like we're playing with invisible things. Remember, we're in the imagination. Remember, the world comes from the unseen into the seen. So when we get into trance or absorption, we're going into the internal world to affect something that's eventually going to change the physical reality. Is that hard to understand? Actually, science believes that too. It's math, it's science, whatever. They be trying to control the language and how we talk to each other, how we discuss things when we're actually saying the same thing. The only difference is we don't use physical instruments outside of ourselves. We believe that the body is the ultimate instrument. It's the ultimate organic instrument. The body with its melanin is the antenna. So we're spending our lives trying to master our instrument. So they look for us to produce magical phenomenon to shut down. What is the word? They're looking for us to produce scientific proven phenomenon to shut them up. So we're doing our rituals and they want us to prove that it's real by science, and that's not how this works. So for instance, we have people that do what's known to be yoga, whether you think it's Kemetic or African or not. You got people that's known to do this thing, and then they try to troll us about things like yoga. And yoga has many claims. Yoga tell you you're going to eventually get some superpowers, some psychic powers and stuff. And that's true. I'll say that it's true. But this is initiatory information that I'm not going to discuss now, but there is a reason why some people have certain level abilities and some people are not quite able to access it. They need to know that it's not our job. We don't owe them any answers. We don't have to answer to them. So what we do is we do what we do for a total different reason than what they think. So they're thinking we're dealing with some spooky pseudo stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm asking you, so if you don't experience the magical psychic powers on its lowest level, that flexibility that you get from yoga is going to make you feel good for no reason at all. So is that a loss? So if you didn't get the magical powers, but on its lowest level of manifestation, you're going to feel extremely good for no reason at all. Is that a loss? You see how we don't lose when we practice our legacy. What about breathing? Oh, breathing is pseudo. You'll watch he said breathing is pseudo. But there was discussions online saying that meditative breath don't do anything. Science even know that meditative breath does something. So you have things like what people perceive to be is like Qi Kung and things like that, energy, Mu Qi. What do you say, prana? We say Sekhmet. Mm-hmm. You'll see some of the Asian, you'll see an old Asian man and he got 8 people on his arm and people are like, oh, that's pseudo, you can't do that. There's a posture called holding a tree. In African martial arts, they call Olawingo. That posture, certain postures create and generate tremendous amounts of energy in your body. It floods your body, your nervous system, your energy systems with energy. So if you can master your connection between body, mind, and breath, your body could become extremely strong. In the Asian culture, like if you do that long enough, your ultimate test was to get a tree relatively small, not no ancient tree, like a young tree, and to be able to pull that tree from the ground, from its roots, just from doing this every day for a certain amount of time. That was your test. And you go to the tree 3 months later, oh, I can't do it. Go back, and they were like, we're not teaching you no kung fu till you get past this. And then They said one story is eventually the guy was able to do it. He pulled the tree out, and the master's like, I ain't got nothing to teach you. You be like, yo, you don't mess with nobody. You can pull the tree out. Like, you don't fight that person, you know. So what happens is those individuals be like, oh, well, how come Makra can't do that? How come Massetti can't do that? We're like, man, we black. He said he could do it. That's right. Once again, it comes down to your consistency. We black in America, we got 1, 2, 3 jobs, families and stuff like that. So we haven't had the time that other cultures like the Asians and the Indians and stuff, they got whole monk cultures. So the people and the actions that you see, those are coming from people, that's all that they do 12, 8, 16 hours a day. So you can't take that to somebody, you can't compare that to somebody who just got into yoga 3 years, 5 years, or even 10 years ago, because they're still only doing it relatively part-time in a matter, you know, in relative to what's required to generate that type of energy. So same as with the yoga. So whether you get that super physical power or not on its lowest level, the proper breathing is going to enhance the physiological functions of your body, making you feel good for no apparent reason at all. So is that a loss? Why are people having problems with black or African people feeling good about themselves? I hear this narrative in our community. They be straight mad when you happy. Be like, damn, I thought that was the purpose of life, to be happy. They be mad at the Christians when they up there rocking their songs, they feeling good. The Muslims, they doing their chants, they feeling good. Then we get it, oh, y'all acting like the Christians and the Muslims. Like, yo, Africans dance and drum. It's our way of processing reality. It is our way of meditating. Experience and joy. So what about libation? What about opening the way? They be like, oh, that's spooky. They see us doing the thing in a different direction, doing the Hesse, up, down, north, south. They be like, what are they doing? You know, just because they can't see something doesn't mean you can't see something. Remember, your body and your nervous system, and how depends on how well you fine tune your nervous system. It's going to be able to determine what you're able to perceive from reality. Remember, the brain interprets signals. They call it sensations. We say vibration. We just got a cooler language about it, but it's sensations. We interpret vibrations. So if your joint is jammed up, now y'all see why I said certain people don't deserve to be in the same room. We just ain't on it, so we're here, but we're not really here at the same time. So when we're doing libation, what is wrong with taking a moment to reflect on who you are and your lineage and where you come from and who you become and who you're yet to become? What's wrong with that? And being proud of yourself. You're like, damn, my people used to be slaves, or my people didn't have nothing. Now I've graduated college, I'm a Kemetic initiate, I got plans and such. So take a libation to thank your forefathers and your foremothers for their genes, for them to live and redeem themselves through you. That should feel good. So once again, people having a problem with you feeling good about something. What's the problem with, in ceremony, taking a few minutes or moments or hours through dance in ceremony to contemplate the forces that sustain us all and how those forces interact with each other and how we're able to read the patterns and get some meaning from what those patterns of interaction and get some what we call revelation or unvelation about how we're to proceed forth. Why are people so upset with that? Why are they so upset that we found a way for peace and empowerment in a world that don't make sense to them? So are they saying, they're like, oh no, so are you saying, no, don't feel good from stretching, don't feel good from breathing, don't do the natural health thing, go follow science and go to the doctor and take your medicine and then take other medicines, and your medicines are fighting each other's medicines while the disease is just diseasing. Don't wear those African clothes. Don't show nothing to signify that you're part of a great nation. Wear this polo and whatever it is that they, just be regular like us, be miserable like us. Find your happiness in drugs and drinking and going to the bar or whatever. Don't find happiness in all of these things. That's free. Free energy. So we owe no one anything. We owe no one any answers. Us as Kemites, us as Kemetic initiates, and all the rest of your people that are making yourself in close proximity to Kemetic initiates, we don't have no other charge to fix nobody. Our charge is to fix the Kemetic community, to make sure our community prospers. That is our ecosystem. That is our priority. Now, of course, We should be connecting with other Kemetic communities, but if and when they don't want to comply, so what? Because every Kemetic community is an ecosystem in itself. It should have a hierarchy of leadership. It's kind of like cells in the body. Every cell in the body is a reflection of the whole body. So we're not missing nothing when we're not working with other people, even though we should naturally be inclined to work with other people, but it's not our charge to fix the world. Understand, that was the difference between Upper and Lower Kemet. There was a culture Upper Kemet, and there was a culture in Lower Kemet, and then you had the so-called 42 gnomes and stuff. We was cool with settlements of culture doing their own thing and not imposing on the rest. So in general, Africans tended to mind their business. They wasn't going off setting flyers trying to get people to join their community and stuff. It's always outsiders that come in and be like, oh, this is beautiful what you do. Oh, the sisters are so beautiful and they're white and their locks and they just smell good. Oh, the brothers are so powerful looking. Oh, look at the children, they're so beautiful. Oh, this thing is very powerful. The drums, the dancing, you guys are doing some great things. But have you guys heard of the gospel of Jesus Christ, though? Have you heard Muhammad Rasulullah, the prophet? And what's the new one? Your gods and your deities and your ancestors is cool, but y'all know we come from primates, right? You know, that's the new thing. It's always some outsider that's coming along to try to terraform you, to take your resources and take your attentions to serve their agenda. Mm-hmm. So now we love our people, but we love ourselves more. And for the sake of mental health, we got to do us for us. And we got to always push forward, upwards and onwards and forever forward. And we got to prioritize our mental, physical, and spiritual health. So the best we could do for anybody else is be the best Kemite that we could possibly be. Mm-hmm. And that's just going to have to be good enough. So we got to stop letting people troll us into trying to make us go global when we got to get local first. Mm-hmm. We got to master local. As above, so below, so within, so without. We're working on within, so our without makes sense. I don't know if y'all understand that's metaphor. That's initiatory language. But I'll end it on that note. So I want to thank everybody for their time, their energy, their attention, as well as their engagement. If you found value in this lesson, we appreciate donation of any denomination of your liking. So once again, if you've learned something, keep the lesson. If you didn't, what they say, take what's useful and discard the rest.
Yes. Mm-hmm. We appreciate the reciprocity that you showed to us in the form of your donations. Donations can be sent to Cash App, $ Temple of Anu, or PayPal, templeofanu@gmail.com, which, you know, your reciprocity allows us to keep going. It allows us to continue to be here, and again to be a beacon, to be a lighthouse, and for us to continue to support those who are in our ecosystem. True. To continue to be the ecosystem. Our next regularly scheduled communion is December 24th. I do not know for sure we're going to live stream that day. It's very likely we will not. I will for sure let everybody know what we are doing ahead of time, so you all can know if we will be on live that day or not. There will be an announcement or a post on Instagram and Facebook. So please follow us on those channels to stay up to date. Don't forget to get your tickets for the Feast of Sekhmet before prices go up in a few days.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Yeah, yes. And we appreciate y'all reciprocity. We appreciate y'all donations. We appreciate your time and your energy today and always. And we'll see y'all again soon at our next live stream. All right? Keep y'all posted. Show me the tap, everybody.